You're now listening to the You Run podcast.
True crime. This podcast is unique. Heather, tell them why.
You choose the cases. You share your opinion. And I hit you with mine.
He got an easier death than he deserved.
Gacy was the first Illinois prisoner executed against his will.
An eyewitness later described Bundy's last moments of life.
He made reference to his loved ones and to his family when he was saying his last words.
A serial killer comes about by circumstances and
This is the You Run podcast. This is the only true crime podcast where we put you in control. You become part of our team as me and Heather take you through the cases that you have chosen. This is not our show. This is your true crime.
That bitch is cray-cray. She's real crazy.
Hello, welcome to the You Run podcast. My name is Scott, and with me always is our splash of wine, or at the moment, our splash of water, Heather Silman.
Hey guys, it's Heather. Yeah, I'm actually drinking water right now, so that's like a perfect description of me.
Yeah, it is. It's Wednesday water and horror.
No, we're never going to, Scott, that's not going to stick. It's never going to happen. It's like trying to make fetch happen. It's never going to happen.
No, I get that. I get that. How are you doing with the whole pregnancy thing? Because I think our listeners are invested enough now that they want to know what's going on. I think so.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I am getting close to my 5th month. Ooh, as you've seen my pictures on Instagram, I'm looking more pregnant. I was not this pregnant looking the last time I had, a child, which was like 11 years ago. Yeah. So I'm
this
like,
is your comeback tour.
This baby gonna be huge as fuck. Cause baby daddy is 6'2", skinny, but baby daddy is tall. So I'm like, I'm gonna have an alien ass, long ass legged baby. But everything's going good.
That's good. I mean, I know that, but I want the listeners to know that everything's going good as well. And as you would probably all guess, at some point, Heather is going to go on maternity leave as well.
I am. I'm not this isn't a paid maternity leave though, you guys.
Yeah, I'd like to emphasize this is definitely not a paid maternity leave.
I will be back. I you know what? I have 2 kids. Well, actually 3. I've done this before. This is not that difficult for me. So I'll get back as soon as I can, and Scott, I'm lucky to have such a great co-host that is like cool with my absence, and not being a dick.
No, well, when you're away, and we will find some interesting people to fill the gap while you're not there.
I hope so. You can always message me and be like, hey, are they okay? Because you got to ask me. I'll be like, yeah, they're okay.
Yeah, or you're going to go, no, they're an idiot. You can't have them on the show.
Yeah, depending, and that'll stay between you and I because I don't need people to know my secrets.
No, exactly. We are the only fully interactive true crime podcast in the world. You chose the cases. You help us investigate them. We bring you one case a month and we split it into 2. So we give you a main show where we deal with lots of the facts and actually what happens around the case. We then bring you a second episode, which is our extended cut, where we talk about more fan theories and weird things that happen in the case. And we talk about some of the stuff that we miss in the main episode, because lots of these cases are really in depth. And to get everything condensed that you can digest it all in one episode, it just doesn't work. So we bring you 2, because that's the best way to do it. Yeah. We also have the pleasure of being joined by guests. That happens pretty much every episode and was going to happen today. We were going to be joined by my co-host over on Horror Movie Review, Marc. Unfortunately, Marc is currently dealing with his own crime at his own house. So Marc went out earlier today. He nipped out for a couple of hours, took his daughter and his wife to the beach. When he come home, he found his dog had eaten lots and lots of chocolate from his cupboard. This is not a good thing for a dog. His dog is now currently under veterinary care, having some medication to make it sick so it can bring up the chocolate that it ate earlier today.
It's so insane to me. I mean, sorry, Marc, we were going to miss you for this episode. I think he would have been a fucking killer guest for this episode for many reasons. And one, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it a little bit, the KFC reference, and he'll get that when he listens.
Yeah.
But, hey, you got to take care of your doggy. I understand, but maybe keep the chocolate at the top. That's my advice to you.
I don't know if this is just me, but I keep my chocolate in the fridge.
I do too. I like my certain candies that I do like that are chocolate. They have to be in the freezer or the refrige. So that I can let them thaw out a second and then eat them. I like them better like that.
Yeah, unless Mark's got an incredibly intelligent dog that's got a little stool out and opened the fridge and gone for a real rummage. Gone, where does he keep this? The Cadbury's at the back? Do I need to move these beers out of the way to get to it?
Right. He has a small dog, though, I think, from what I've seen.
Yeah, it's not a huge dog.
Not a big dog.
No, so that dog's had to do some serious work to get to that chocolate.
Keep your chocolates high.
Yeah, that's a message to all the listeners. If you've got a dog, keep the chocolate out of the dog's reach.
Yes.
Yeah. Bad, Mark. Keep your chocolate locked away.
We're going to get him soon again, though. He's going to come back. He's going to be on an episode of True Crime. We just don't know when, and we'll get him, though.
We'll definitely get him, and we'll get him with a case that he's going to really suffer with, I think.
Yeah.
He stitched us up this week, so he can suffer now. This month, we gave you a list of killers with high murder counts, and it was whittled down to 2. So you had a choice between Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy. Mm-hmm. It's the closest poll we've ever had. There was 2% in this, nothing between them. With the 2% win, we look at a serial killer with 33 murder charges. A killer that will live forever in people's mind as the killer clown. We take a look at the sinister, sadistic psychopath, John Wayne Gacy.
A man who served time in prison for sex crimes was let out. Today they found the bodies of at least 3 young boys buried under his house. He is charged with murder.
Gacy is a 36-year-old building contractor who reportedly dressed like a clown.
They never went to any places that I ever hung around because I didn't hang around that many places unless you were involved in politics or if you were involved in clowning, then I might have ran into you. But there's no way I could have run into any of them.
Police today found 6 more bodies under the John Gacy house in Norwood Park Township near Des Plaines, Illinois.
John Gacy, a man who liked to put on a clown suit and entertain children.
Every day for a week, outsiders came here to see bodies brought out of Gacy's house.
In Chicago, the John Gacy mass murder trial is nearing an end.
As the sun set on Stateville Prison, serial killer John Gacy's appeals to put off his date with death faded too.
In my opinion, he got an easier death than he deserved.
Kill that clown! Kill that clown! Kill that clown!
Okay. Due to the sheer magnitude of this man's crimes, I'm going to do this. I've phrased this episode slightly different to how I normally would. So we're going to give you some of Gacy's upbringing. We're going to start with just a bit of backstory. We're then going to go into his confession and kind of work backwards through his crimes. Every true crime podcast, every documentary, everything I've ever seen on John Wayne Gacy glosses over the worst and most horrific part of his crime, which is what happens and how he hunts and what actually happened to these victims. We are not like other shows, as I'm sure all of you know by now. We don't play by we sit here and read you the script from Wikipedia. We do it differently.
Facts.
Yeah, we're going to give you the worst of John Wayne Gacy on this episode. We're going to go through all of the things that everyone else shies away from. And that's not in any way to glorify him. It's just the fact that I think people need to really understand how much of an arsehole this man was.
Yes. And I have to add too, the fact that he has all these documentaries out and things, and that they gloss over the actual murders and what he did to these they were children.
Yeah.
Basically. So my biggest thing on what I wanted to say is that they gloss over the killings that John Wayne Gacy did. But if you watch other serial killer documentaries like Ted Bundy, they don't gloss over them.
No.
They actually go into disgusting detail. They tell you how he raped the women, what he did to them. But I'm kind of confused. Question mark. I'm like, why are we glazing, over the fact of what people need to know. I think if you're really interested in it, you need to know what he actually did.
Yeah, and I think it's only because I watched so much in the lead up to this episode. I've done lots of investigation, and actually finding the details, even just the details of what actually happened, is really hard. It is kind of almost like they've taken all these horrible things that he's done and buried it under this back subplot of how he became a killer, why he became a killer.
Yeah, they focus more on like him.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, yes, we're interested in knowing, and you listeners are going to be interested in knowing, like, why the fuck he's such a monster. But you know what? I think on the You Run podcast, True Crime, we like to really give our shout outs to these victims too, because they're the victims.
Yeah.
So they need to be immortalized, not fucking John Wayne Gacy per se.
And I want people to know how bad he was, and I want people to understand what these poor victims went through, because what they went through was fucking horrific.
Yes.
John Wayne Gacy was born in 1942 to a Catholic couple, John and Marion. John was a World War I veteran. Marion was a homemaker. She was I don't think the correct term is a housewife anymore. I think the official term now is a domestic engineer.
Oh fuck! I'm a stay-at-home mom, bitch. that's my response. It's like, just let me sum it up for you. Stay-at-home mom, SAHM. If you want to be real fucking millennial about it, that's what I do.
You're not a domestic engineer, then?
No, I mean, I do all the domestic shit, but I don't have a degree in that. I just know how to do it well.
Gacy had a good relationship with his mother and his two sisters, but he suffered terrible abuse at the hands of his father. Gacy's father would often beat him for no reason as well. And if he had a reason for punishments, it was even worse. So when Gacy was 7, he was told by another parent, or his father was told by another parent, that Gacy had touched his daughter. Gacy took the strap that he used to sharpen his cutthroat razor with, and he beat Gacy and whipped him with that razor strap as a punishment.
Yeah.
That is not the way to bring the best out of your child or to punish your child. That's not a good thing. No,
it's not. But there's also a trend in this when these serial killers are born in like the 40s, 50s, right? That's it. I am not glorifying it or okaying it, but it just seems to be that's how they punish children. There was a lot of abuse that almost seemed like it was okay to do. Like, it's fine. I just beat the shit out of him with like a soldering iron, but it's no big deal.
Yeah.
It's different.
It was just the times. That's just how it was. If you were naughty in the 40s or 50s, you got belted.
You did not get sent to your room.
No, there was no switching the Wi-Fi off as a punishment. It was just a beating instead.
I love that punishment, actually.
It's my go-to. I've got all the devices.
My favorite.
So all of our devices are linked separately, so I can go on and switch off an individual device. That's great.
I've unplugged shit from the wall. I don't give a fuck. Gangster.
Gacy was overweight, he was unfit, and he had a mild heart condition that led doctors to advise him not to partake in any sports. Between the ages of 13 and 18, he spent over a year in hospital with fatigue-like symptoms. You'd think this would make his father kind of a bit worried about him, but no. His dad would ridicule him and accused him of making the whole thing up just to get attention.
I believe that. I sort of, again, not taking it for his dad. He seemed very abusive. I kind of think, Mr. Gacy was being a drama queen. Just saying.
Yeah, and literally the next thing I was about to say is, I'm not saying his father was right, but after all that time, they could never conclusively diagnose what was wrong with John Wayne Gacy. And from the age of 18 onwards, he had no further symptoms.
He didn't. I think, honestly, and I want to say this in a polite way, he was heavy set. He was overweight. That could have contributed to the tiredness, to the, other symptoms. But it was like, if you have an actual heart condition, that doesn't typically just go away when you get a little older.
No.
It's good. You're going to have problems. So, all right, drama queen, bitch. That's what I hate him.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. He's a horrible man, and
he's pretty bad.
Yeah, horrible man and a dirty paedophile.
Yes.
And I've said paedophile, and I know that Heather's husband will
Stephen is going to be so excited. He loves it because he's like, it's pedophile. I said, well, no, Scott says pedophile, pedo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but we say, like we're from the South, it's pedophile.
Yeah,
But
he likes the way I say it. You're going to get,
Yes.
you're in for a treat on this episode. I'm probably going to say it a lot.
Well, there's plenty of reasoning for why you're going to say it a lot. So
Yeah,
anyways.
I'm not just saying it just to crowd please. There is reasons behind it.
Oh, yes.
We're going to take a jump forward in time now. Following Gacy's arrest, he confessed to the murder and rape and torture of 33 young men and boys over a 6-year period. He assisted law enforcement in one of the biggest and most extensive excavations of a single property in history. There were 26 sets of remains recovered from the main house, a further 3 on other areas of the property, and 4 more he confessed to dumping in the Des Plaines River. He confirmed all the murders took place in his home and detailed some victims he had let go, so there could have potentially been more, but he didn't kill everyone he took back. He never explained the reason he released some people and other people he didn't.
Yeah, that was never explained either. And so that kind of had me scratching my head where I was like, why? I mean, you know what? But that's a serial killer-esque thing that happens because it does seem like that's a thing that they do. Some victims do get away but for the most part, they don't. So it does make you wonder what was going on in his mind to say, I'm going to let, this fellow go, but I'm going to kill all the rest of these. So
yeah, I don't know if it's maybe that some of the people he brought back maybe didn't fit exactly what he wanted, or they said something that he didn't like, and he went, actually, no, you don't. I don't want you. You're not what I'm after.
Yeah, he was intimidated possibly because I like looking at the pictures of some of the boys. They were pretty. I'd say they were like kind of small, like not real big guys. And John Wayne Gacy was a big, big guy.
Yeah, he's this kind of guy that if he grabs hold of you, you're going to really struggle to get him off. He's not
for sure.
It's not a small. It's like when I see pictures of, like, for example, Ted Bundy. I look at Ted Bundy and I go, yeah, I reckon I could take you. If you went for me, I think I could take you down. But when you look at John Wayne Gacy, you go, oh, you're quite a big guy, aren't you?
Well, and we'll get into it soon of like what he does. But yeah, like you wouldn't, it would be really hard to be like a 14-year-old boy trying to defend yourself from someone that was probably he's over 200 pounds for sure.
Well over.
280,
if not
something like that.
Pushing 300 pounds. He's a big guy.
You're not escaping that, unfortunately.
No, at 40 years old, I wouldn't want to be put against a 300-pound guy, let alone at 14.
Hell no.
John Wayne Gacy is a predator, or was a predator, in every sense of the word. He preyed on weaker and easily influenced men. Some of these he would employ with his construction company, and others he would actually go out and cruise, and he would actually go out and hunt and pick his victims.
Yep.
He was very specific in what he picked. So he never deviated or killed out of his chosen target range. So his target range was young, attractive men. He never killed a female. He never killed an older man. He was always in that niche was his. That was his hunting ground.
Yes.
They were all fairly physically fit as well. None of his victims were overweight or deemed as. I don't think you'd be able to say any of his victims were unattractive males. They were all
no. They were very like
pretty boys.
Pretty boys, very, very attractive. I mean, like I saw some of the pictures, and I was like, just the thought of thinking what could have been. They were such handsome boys, and that they would have been. Of course, that makes me feel like it's horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. They were all very much like he had a type.
Yeah. Yeah. He had his victim. His victimology was very, very specific.
Yes.
The saddest thing about this is 5 of his victims still to this day remain unidentified, which I think is horrific. His hunting style was very unique for a serial killer. A lot of serial killers, when they go and capture their victim, it tends to be a blitz attack, or they will trick them to an area where they can subdue them. he took a real Casanova approach to it. He was a guy who would lure people back, not with violence or with intimidation, but he would use anything at his disposal. So he would use drink, drugs, sex, somewhere to stay. It was always he was doing them a favor by bringing them back to his house.
Yes.
Which made all of these victims very willing to go with him. So there was never any scene in public where people would go, oh, there's something wrong there, because it always looked on the surface to be very innocent.
Yeah, my question for that, not really a question, but to think of these boys, I would assume that all of these boys were heterosexual, you know, and what would be alluring to them for this? Again, I'm not making fun of anyone that's overweight, but just saying this overweight man, he was not an attractive man. He was kind of gross. And it's like, other than the drugs and the alcohol, I'm just thinking, like, how did he get them to participate in sexual things? I mean, I guess he had to have drugged it, like they had to have been intoxicated, because when you look at these young guys, you're just like, no, they wouldn't do that. And they couldn't have all been homosexual. No. I just don't believe that.
No, a lot of the ones when he went cruising were, because a lot of them were male sex workers. There was
so
some
crazy.
Yeah, it's a scary, scary world. And
yes.
Yeah, he knew how to play the system to get what he wanted. And he was from what I understand, he was a very charming and charismatic guy. He was come across as very trustworthy and very, even in the community, he was well thought of and highly regarded.
Because he was a sociopath. That's what, and a narcissist. I mean, like, he fit all the demographics for all of that. And I think that's, just talk about Ted Bundy for a quick second. Same thing with Ted Bundy. People were like, oh my God, I love him. Like, he was so nice and charming and handsome. So a little different than Gacy, but again, their personality, it's like, he fucking hung out with like political parties.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Insane.
He definitely had a very, very split side of his life.
Yeah.
He was very much on the surface, was this kind, charming, nice, friendly neighborhood guy who'd come and help an old lady take her bins out. And then he would go from that to this evil predator who was hunting boys in the night. It's terrifying.
It is.
Once they were at their house, very few of them left. I am going to talk about some people who did get to leave. So there are some people, and there's quite a few of them, who were taken back to John Wayne Gacy's house, and he kicked them out. So he would be midway through, they'd had a drink, they were chatting and laughing, and then I've seen people interviewed where they've gone, and then he just turned around and goes, you need to leave. He said he'd literally showed them the door and kicked them out and closed the door, and that was them gone. I imagine for them now, looking back, they must feel a massive sense of relief.
I think that, and or they could even feel like survivor's remorse because of the fact that they did survive. They were literally in the hands of a serial killer. Of course, they didn't know, but that has to be something to, I don't know, that gets you on a whole nother fucking level of like higher power, because why am I here? He easily could have killed them.
It would definitely give me some serious sleepless nights, I think, had I been one that got away.
Yeah.
And got away without knowing, and probably didn't find out for another decade that I was potentially one of his victims.
Yeah.
Terrified.
Yes.
Gacy was a well-known practical joker with his colleagues and his employees. He would often do tricks. One of these tricks became his signature to gain control of his victims. He is honestly the only killer I've ever read about who can get the victims to restrain themselves willingly.
For me, it was just like the whole sexual thing. I think that's how he played it into it. Cause you ain't gonna get my fucking ass. Yeah, I am not you ain't tying me up for sex. I ain't into that shit. You ain't tying me up. I ain't put no handcuffs on.
No.
Unless you the police, but fuck you too for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We're talking about like, I cannot be easily manipulated.
No, but what he done, it's so, I'm not bigging him up, but for a killer, for someone who wants to hunt and kill people, what he'd done was honestly really, really clever.
It was sickly genius.
It was sickly genius. So he would get a pair of handcuffs and he'd go, I'm going to show you the handcuff trick. So if you handcuff me behind my back, and these young boys are like, yeah, okay, they're laughing and they handcuff him. And then he struggles for a couple of seconds and the handcuffs are off. And then he goes, I'm going to teach you how to do the trick now. So if you turn around, I'll handcuff you. And they go, oh, yeah, great, because they're having a good time. They've had a couple of drinks. They might have smoked a joint. This is like, it's just fun and laughter. Once he's handcuffed them, he watches them struggle for a little while and then informs them that the trick is you have to have the key. At that moment,
I'd lose my shit. Like I feel like I would be so insanely crazy feeling that I would just be running out there with the handcuffs on, or like I'm gonna bust these. I cannot handle being restricted. I have my phobia is like claustrophobia, right? I don't like to be in tight spaces and I don't like to feel contained.
Right. Okay. So this for you is a big no-no.
Oh, absolutely not. It's not happening. And I have control issues, big time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'd mind being kind of restrained, but I think I would want a safety way. I would want a way out. I would need a safe word. I would be
what would be your safe word? I have to know. What would be your safe word if you were in that position?
I don't know. I think it'd have to be something. Probably it's something podcast related. You run podcast.
Yeah, but Lisa would be like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
She'd be like, I helped you create this.
Yeah.
You better pick a better safe word. Yeah. I'd be like, I haven't even met Lisa, but I can kind of feel like she'd be like, no, fuck you. Too bad. Try again.
The stupid thing is, honestly, I think if Lisa got the opportunity to tie me up, she'd tie me up and have an early night and just leave me there.
I think she'd leave you too.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. I think she'd be like, toodaloo, like, go night.
Yeah, I'm going shopping. I'll see you in 5 hours. By the way, my mum's going to pop round in 10 minutes.
The agony. See, that scenario for me puts me into that scenario of being like out of control and you can't do anything. And so to get back on a serious note, these boys that were handcuffed like this, and when they got scared, I think that Gacy, like, that got him off. It was like, ooh, that was the sadistic side of him coming out.
It was the power. He enjoyed having control. And what comes next, if I'm guessing the listeners to this show are fairly strong-stomached. You are listening to a true crime podcast. If you are not strong-stomached, or if you do not want to hear what happens to these boys next, probably jump forward a good 15 minutes in the episode.
Yeah, because I think that we're one of the few, and there's a lot of true crime podcasts out there, but I just, from listening to several, not a lot of them get into real great detail.
No.
So that kind of sets us apart. So again, like Scott mentioned, disclaimer, if this makes you uncomfortable, or if you have been in a situation where you have been abused, we do want you to skip past this part if you can't handle it.
Yeah, 100%. I don't want you to listen to this and then go, that was horrific, because I'm telling you now, what I'm about to tell you is horrific.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it really is. So having had his victim restrain themselves, Gacy would begin the process of raping and torturing his captive. He would normally start this process by sitting or straddling his victim's chests and forcing them to give him oral sex. That alone is just...
I'm not laughing as in it's not funny.
No.
It's almost my way to alleviate the stress that it actually brings me, because some things hit home. Yeah. And you're just like, being in I've mentioned this before on the show. I have been in a physically abusive relationship. So again, being restrained and being forced to do something you don't want to is fucking horrifying.
Yeah, I can't think of anything worse.
It's disgusting.
But it does get worse, unfortunately. Gacy would use various tortures. So he would burn them with cigars. He would ride them round like a horse after making makeshift reins that he would put in their mouth, and he would literally ride them round his living room. He'd violate them with dildos, wine bottles, and other foreign objects that he found around the house. what drives someone to do this? Is this stemmed from the abuse that he suffered as a child?
Do you want to talk about a little bit about the abuse now, or do you want to save that? Because I have some info on that.
Yeah, we'll save it. We'll come back to it. But
it's not an excuse to me.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
There's being abused and you having problems. And I do know statistically, I said that word right. Thank you. That when you are physically or sexually abused, you can carry those traits with you, and you can do that to other people. That does happen. But I think it went for John Wayne Gacy. This was not just about this. He was sadistic.
Yeah,
he did it for his pleasure. This was pleasurable for him.
Yeah, to a whole nother level. So one of the other things he would do is he would manacle their legs with a strip of wood between their ankles. Anyone who's trying to get that in their head, if you've seen the movie Misery, that's what he done. So it was that block of wood between the legs and then cuffed either side so they couldn't move. He was known for constantly verbally battering his victims, degrading them. He would often make his victims crawl to the bathroom, where he would promise them that he would save them. And instead, he would then start to drown them. He would drown them so they passed out. He would then revive them to continue the torture. When someone would beg that he finished them and he ended it, he would tell them that they couldn't die until he was done with them.
It's so vile. Like, I don't even know if you can come up with enough words to describe how disturbing and disgusting that and terrifying that scenario had to have been for those poor boys.
Yeah. And some of these guys were older, but some of these were a lot younger.
Well, yeah, they were older, but not 35 older.
No.
We're still talking about it. I consider, I have an almost 20-year-old daughter. She's still a child to me.
Yeah, so is mine. My 19-year-old daughter is exactly the same. She's still a little girl.
Exactly. So even if they're 19, 20, they're being victimized in a way that I can't.
No. The actual murder itself, unfortunately, is just as horrific as the rest of it. Gacy would initiate the murder by saying, "This is going to be my last trick." Seriously, how sick do you have to be to, throughout it, refer to the things that you're doing them as, and for my next trick, like a magician? It's just
it's a show for him. It was just entertainment for him. I think that's exactly why he said that.
What he would do is he would wrap a rope around their neck, and using a hammer handle as leverage, he would slowly tighten it. Gacy joked when he was talking about this that some of them would have seizures during the process, but it was fine because they all ended up the same anyway.
It's just, once again on true crime, I'm kind of speechless to that, because I you're reading all this. I know all these things because I've read about John Wayne Gacy for years. I've always been really into true crime. It's not easy to know these things, but it is part of life. It's part of the facts of these killers. But
yeah, I think it's one of those things that when you read it yourself, so when you sit and you do research and you read through the things he's done, you just kind of go, yeah, okay, and you're taking notes. When you then come and say those things out loud, you go, fuck, really? Did he do that? It's so just disgusting.
It's just hard for us to imagine because we don't have that mind frame.
No, not at all.
So it's completely asinine for us to think, like, how could, even if you hated someone and you were like, we as people tend to make comments like, oh, I'm going to kill them. But like, we don't actually mean we're going to kill them.
No,
we're not going to kill anyone. It's hard to fathom. I can't understand it. It's so deep into the psyche part of it where it's like, you could talk about it for days and years.
Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't. Following the murder, Gacy would keep the victim under his bed for 24 hours before choosing a part of the crawl space to bury their remains.
It's kind of stupid in that aspect.
Yeah, and he started using the river. So 4 victims he disposed of in the river. He done that because he was running low on space. Apparently he had planned to put an extension on the plot.
Oh, how convenient for him.
Exactly. It's disgusting. Anyway, we don't do trials on this show because they're dull and not normally clear cut. Said no one ever on this show before. That's never happened. Because the trial for this case is actually getting featured because it's incredibly interesting and not dull and not clean cut. Which
there are some when you do the research on these serial killers, sometimes the trials are like that's why we don't feature them. But then again, like you said, sometimes you got to know.
Well, this one I normally I get to like information about the trial and you get loads of court transcripts and shit that I read. And
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And then I started reading this and like read like the opening line on one of them. I was like, I need to read a bit more. And then I got into it. I was like, I've got to talk about the trial.
Yeah.
So the trial started on the 6th of February, 1980. They covered it by an out-of-state judge due to the extensive local coverage of this case. Mm-hmm. This case was global news. They would have needed to get a fucking hobbit who lived in a cave to judge this case for them not to know everything about it already.
Yes.
That was just an attempt to appease the public.
Yep.
That I find insane. If there's a case that is so globally known, it doesn't matter who you stick in the judge's chair as far as I'm concerned.
They're going to know. They're going to have heard about something. Even if they didn't know all the details, they're going to have heard the gist of what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. The defense had Gacy undergo 300 hours of doctor examination and psychological testing prior to the start of the trial. Their idea was to get a plea of insanity on the table, not guilty by way of insanity. For anyone who's interested, 300 hours is over 125 separate trips to the doctors. And bear in mind, when Gacy was incarcerated, you could only do one of those per day. So he was going to the doctors for over a year in the build-up to this trial. So this was delayed for a long time.
Yeah.
Which, again, I find crazy that defence lawyers can use tactics like that, where they can go, well, he's been examined by this doctor, but we now need to examine this, and we now need to move him to this doctor. And they can drag this process out, and it's just wrong.
It's wrong, but in their line of work, being a defense attorney, that's like part of what they do.
Yeah.
They have to defend these shithole people. Okay. On occasion, there are probably some that are not guilty, but this was not the case. And John Wayne was extremely guilty. And so therefore it's like, you got to delay. I don't know why they were delaying the inevitable, but I get their tactic. So it kind of makes sense. If you were a defense attorney, you too would be like, all right, this motherfucker is guilty as fuck, but we got to stretch it out and we got to prove that maybe he was insane. That motherfucker wasn't insane. He was not insane.
No. I mean, Gacy claimed to have split personality disorder, and he even had 4 personalities. So he had the hardworking civil contractor who everyone knew and loved. He had the clown, Pogo. Because he would quite often perform at birthday parties and functions as the clown Pogo.
Yeah.
He had the nice policeman who would do the trick where he'd handcuff himself. And then he had the bad policeman who he referred to as Bad Jack.
That's not a mental illness. That's just your alter egos. That's just you making excuses for your fucked up behavior.
Yeah. During the testing, he was proven to be a paranoid schizophrenic. And was found, or he was allowed to put in the plea not guilty by way of insanity. That is the way he pled at the trial.
Of course.
The evidence was way too stacked against him. So much so that 5 weeks into the trial, Gacy thought he was going to lose, and he sent a letter to the judge asking for a mistrial. So this came from Gacy straight to the judge. And his reasons for this were his legal team went against his wishes entering the insanity plea, and they refused point blank to let him take the stand. This judge of this trial is a fucking king, because this judge addressed this in court, and he gave Gacy the opportunity to change his plea and to take the stand. Gacy declined both invitations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the judge just called him out on his bullshit, and Gacy just
as he should.
Yeah.
As he should, because he was full of shit. It's like, if you're insane, do you know that you're insane? that's a question in itself. Like first of all, I don't care what the doctors, said he was not insane.
No.
Because an insane person is not that fucking
Methodical.
smart. Yes, methodical. Exactly. Like to hide the way he did everything. What the fuck ever.
Yeah.
I can't.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that Gacy was found guilty and sentenced to death. He did, however, launch multiple appeals from prison, even trying to offer potential 28 victims that he said were killed by his employees in exchange for a removal of the death penalty. I think he was grasping at straws at this point. His appeals held his execution date off from 1986, when it was originally scheduled, and he wasn't executed until 1994.
Yep.
So the appeals process held it up by a lot.
Well, yeah, they typically do. Like that's just kind of the justice system, especially I know we talked about this in the US. It's like totally different and it makes sense. It's like, look, motherfucker, if I was on there, I'd be like, you did this, bye.
Yeah.
I'd electrocute you. Like, I'm not going to wait 8 years, let you live 8 more years.
No, and there's part of me that I don't necessarily know exactly how I feel on the death penalty. It's a very complicated subject. There's lots of pros and there's lots of cons as well. But if you are going to use the death penalty, I think it should be, you are sentenced to death. If you go through the second door on your right, you will find your electric chair or you will find your lethal injection, and it's happening right now. It's done. We're done now.
Yeah, instead of making them, because most of the time, how that works with death row is that they sit on death row. They can sit on death row for 10, 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
And actually never be executed. It tends to be that they die of natural causes or something gets turned over, and then they get just sentenced to life.
Yeah, effectively.
In prison. Yeah.
9th of May 1994, John Gacy was executed by lethal injection. Mm-hmm. His final words, any guess on what the last thing he wanted to say to the world?
I know. Do you guys know?
I'll let you tell us then, Heather. What was John Gacy's last words to the world?
He said, "Kiss my ass."
Yeah.
Which I find that extremely insulting because it was like, really, kiss your ass? But again, if you think about everything with him saying that right there shows you his character exactly.
Yeah.
His true self came out in those final moments of he's about to die. That's who he is. And so like when people show you who they are, look, PSA, believe them. Okay. If someone shows you who they are, just believe them. That's who they are.
Yeah. Well, when I read his final words, I was like, fuck you. Really? That's what you had to say? Kiss my ass? It
because
me.
He's a pussy. He's actually a big puss because he knew he's going to die. It's not like he could say that, but you're gone after that.
Yeah.
You can't do anything else. So like, what a pussy way to go out.
Yeah, I agree. On the day, over 1,000 people lined the streets outside the prison, chanting "Kill that clown! Kill that clown!" You hear it in the intro to our show.
Oh yeah.
They had a huge celebration when word reached them that he was executed, and that's as far as we're going for now.
Okay.
Normally, this is where we jump into Know This Crime.
Yes.
And because Mark is not here, I'm afraid, Heather, you're going to have to do it.
Oh, shit. I'm not.
I hope so fuck you studied. Get ready to play along at home. Know This Crime! Can you beat the quiz?
Why do I have to do it?
The thing
I'll
is
try.
You know this, Kate. Honestly, I joke a lot that Heather knows true crime more than me. Heather has done research and read things on John Wayne Gacy for over a decade.
I have, but you know what? you can see right now I'm not going to, oops, that was bright. I'm not cheating because I could just go straight to your email, but my phone's right there. I'll keep it here the whole time. It keeps coming on. But anyways,
Okay.
I mean, okay, you want me to do this, but if I don't do a good job, y'all don't be judging me because fuck y'all if I don't. Sorry, I'm pregnant, so y'all have to already forgive me. I already get a pass if I can't remember everything because there's a lot of shit. But let's go ahead and do this.
Yeah, let's give it a go. So, question number 1: what is Gacy's middle name?
Well, Wayne.
There we go.
Also, let me add a little fun fact to that real quick. So his dad actually named him after John Wayne. You know, like the Hollywood icon of westerns.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
So I just won the quiz. Like I should just win it.
Yeah, no. We're carrying on. Question number 2: how many personalities did Gacy claim he had?
4.
Correct.
And he's a liar.
He definitely did. He had multiple personalities, but they were all through choice, not through.
Yeah.
He didn't have personalities coming through and taking.
No.
This wasn't like Split, the movie. This is him just going, today I'm going to be this arsehole.
Yeah.
Question number 3: how did he entice his victims back to his home?
Okay, so drugs, drink, alcohol, drugs. I mean, I don't know how many options you want me to give.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you could have had drink, drugs, money, sex.
Yeah, I was going to say he persuaded with, sexual favors as well, but I'm glad I didn't really have to get to that.
Yeah. How many hours of psychological testing did his defense make him undergo before the trial?
Oh, shit. I'm going to mess up the number. He did it for a year, 120 hours?
It would have been 120 days.
120 days, I'm sorry. It wasn't 120 hours. 365. I don't remember now. I didn't see what I.
Go on, have a guess.
Let's see. He went for a straight year though, right?
Yeah.
320. 320.
No, it was 300.
Oh, well, that's close enough.
Yeah, you done good. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you one more question. We're going to jump through to...
let's just do this.
We'll jump through to... Where should we go?
I'm not good with numbers, Scott. I'm not a mathematician.
Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll jump through to the final 2 questions.
All right, let's see.
Question number 12. Over what period of years did Gacy commit his murders? How many years was he active as a murderer?
Was it 10 years?
No, it wasn't. It was 6.
It was 6. But I thought 1967 through, wait, is that right? Or did you not have the years
I
down?
didn't have the dates written down.
Shit, I wrote it down in my notes, but I'm trying not to cheat, but it's in my notes somewhere. So I thought it was like from 67. Oh shit,
Yeah,
it's okay. It doesn't matter. I still know more than you.
Oh,
not
you do.
But everybody.
Yeah, no, you definitely know more than me. I'll give you one more. What percentage did this case beat Ted Bundy by in our poll?
Oh, like 2%?
It was 2%. Yeah.
See, I pay attention, but like I'm telling you, like numbers sometimes or like dates, they kind of screw me up because sometimes, like I said before when we were recording yesterday, I'm like, I'm in that range of like, I'll guess it within 3 years. I don't really know. I'm just not good with dates, and I didn't do good at math.
Hey, you'll
okay.
Your go's only for fun.
Hey, you know what? Marc owes me. Marc and his dog owe me.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah, Marc needs to send you some chocolate.
Not the ones his dog ate.
No.
Keep that shit. No, actually, don't send me chocolate because chocolate's not my favorite. Marc, just get well soon for your doggy and then get on the show and we're going to give you the quiz. But anyways, you guys, that is just a small version of how the quiz goes. It usually goes better when our guests, they do pretty well on it. I did not great, but it's okay.
You done okay.
I'm the co-host. I don't have time for this.
Exactly. This is the You Run podcast, and every month I ask you all sorts of things from facts to give us your opinions. And this episode, I really just opened it up, and I kind of put things out that were very vague. It's like, tell me what you think of Gacy. What do you think of this? I really made it open. I just wanted you to let loose and go nuts. And guess what? You fucking didn't disappoint me for a single second. You did not disappoint me and Heather. You just went balls to the wall crazy. So, Landman is here to save the day. His last meal was KFC, which seemed odd to me. So I went and investigated. He was actually a manager at a KFC.
Yes,
he was
I
given,
did know that.
So that kind of makes sense for the last meal. When we recorded with Mark yesterday, I'm going to call him out on it now. Mark also loves KFC, so we made a link between Mark and John Wayne Gacy.
Exactly, and then he couldn't make the episode, so we would have had so many jokes to attack him because we love him so much.
Yeah, exactly. What would your last meal be, Heather?
My last meal. Okay, so and not even talking about pregnancy cravings. I've loved this cuisine before. Indian food. Give me all the butter chicken, like give me all the naan and the rice, and just they have so much shit. I want it all. I want like a buffet spread of Indian food, spicy too. That is my last meal.
I'm a lot more plain than you. I just want a medium rare steak, chips, and an egg.
No.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I mean, I like steak is okay, but like okay, so you want an egg, like you want it fried?
Yeah.
Okay, with the yolk runny.
Yeah.
What am I doing on this show? I'm with an actual killer. No, I don't eat eggs. Anyway, I only like them scrambled, and I like them like done. If they're wet, I wish you could see my face, guys. That's me. I hate them. But anyways, I mean, hey, you like what you like.
Yeah, exactly that. Lumberjay the Hair Gay, worst clown ever.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much on. Pretty Killer Podcast. Not a motherfucker I would like to see at my party, thank you. What kind of parties are you having that he could potentially arrive at your party?
I mean, I don't really think that, like, I have children and so do you, but like as younger birthday parties, I would never have an actual clown at their party. I have a sort of fear of clowns. More so when people dress up as clowns, not like Pennywise and shit like that. I think there's something sinister about a middle-aged man putting clown makeup on to entertain children. It fucking freaks me out.
I've done 3 different variations of clowns for Halloween because I know it unnerves people. So I've done a version where I had like a big fluffy wig and I bought the big shoes, and I've done Pennywise and I've done the Joker. So,
I like Pennywise. Yeah, I mean, like Pennywise, that kind of stuff doesn't scare me. But like, if I just saw you in person and you were wearing clown makeup, I would be like, "Bye, bitch, gotta go."
Yeah, it's just weird. It is weird.
It's weird.
Skellington fan who contributes every single week.
Yes,
every single
she
month.
does.
Thank you so much, Skelly. We love the fact that you are involved all the time. And anyone else who's listening, you can get involved. It's really easy. So Skellington fan, he worked as a cleaner at a mortuary before becoming a killer. And Skelly also thinks that he was a homosexual and chose to kill his victims as a way to cover it up. And I know you've got thoughts on that.
I've got thoughts on that, which we will talk about later. But yes,
I'm going to let you go into them now. I think now's a good time for you to.
All right. So since Skelly put that out there, like what? Okay, so watching the documentary, the one on Netflix. I know there's tons, but that was the main one that I watched. Just because I liked that they actually did more of an interview process with him, and that's what you got to hear.
Yeah.
So my big bitch gripe about this is that in the interview process, he would say, well, you know, when you're heterosexual, you like someone of the opposite sex. Okay. And when you're homosexual, you like the same sex. And when you're bisexual, he tried to compare bisexuality to masturbation. And I'm like, just because you like both, there's nothing to be ashamed of, which, his dad would have killed him had he found out that he was actually having sex with men. But I'm going to agree with Skelly and say I 100% think he was homosexual, and that the rage that it caused him because he was married twice, he could not, he tried to say bisexual. Well, if you're bisexual, that doesn't mean you're gay.
No.
It means you have, and sometimes bisexuals, they have a preference, like they mainly date women or men, vice versa, whatever.
Yeah.
He was gay. Like, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with being gay. Like, no, I get it. Again,
he struggled with it.
But also because his dad, there was another little clip, and this will add into where his mother was interviewed and said that if his dad, because his dad had already died, I believe at this time.
Yeah.
had he found out that he was having sex with men, his dad would have murdered him. Like his dad would have killed John Wayne.
Yeah.
But that just tells you the tolerance level back in the 70s.
Yeah, it was not high. The 70s was a very bad time to be openly gay or openly bisexual.
It was very well hidden. So
yeah, it was not a good time. But yeah, I think he was. I think he may have been bisexual, but whatever he was, he struggled with it, and I think it caused him a lot of. He would do something, then feel guilty, and I think that probably drove him to a couple of his earlier murders. It was I need to cover this shit up. I need to make what I've done go away.
So you think that there was some shame factor in it? The fact that he enjoyed sex with a man.
I think at the beginning it was he enjoyed sex with a man, and that made him feel guilty. And out of rage, he killed the person that made him do that. And I think that then after killing those first couple of victims, he went, actually, I really like this as well. Mm-hmm. So it was a whole process. Then he associated that homosexual interaction then with murder, and it all become a singular event for him. That was he would go out not just to have sex with a man, but he would go out to have sex with a man and then kill them. I think it all merged into one obsession for him.
Yeah, I don't, of course, it's not to be justified by any means, but it does make more sense to us normal people as to why, because I think he did have to, again, he had to hide the homosexuality part of him, and bisexual, whatever you want to call him. I'm still leaning that he was definitely more interested in men, and that is why it would almost enrage him. I think that's why he killed him, because it was like, I'm not supposed to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm ashamed of it.
Yeah, and I think so too. For those of you who don't already know, we have now got a new Instagram page. We have got a dedicated true crime Instagram page that I keep getting stuff banned because for violent content, which is doing my head in. But it's You Run True Crime on Instagram.
Yes.
At You Run True Crime. This is the new home for the show. It's solely dedicated to true crime, so it's not mixed in with horror movie review, and it's not mixed in with YouTube. I'm still putting everything on our main page as well, but for the polls, you need to come here now. So you need to go and follow You Run True Crime on Instagram. We're also on TikTok and we're on Twitter, but we're just You Run Podcasts on those because we do mixed content on them. I can't manage to do multiple accounts on everything.
I know. I was like, when you brought up the idea of going ahead and kind of separating true crime and making its own entity, its own page, I was like, shit, I can barely keep up with my one Instagram page. What you talking about?
But it's doing really well. It's been up and running about 3 days, and we're growing rapidly. We're over 100 followers now on there, which, considering I've not told anyone till right now, is great.
And that's fine. Now that people know, get your ass up, hit the follow button, go search for us, follow us.
Yeah, exactly that. This case is incredibly complicated. If you look at this whole thing, it's an incredibly complicated case, which is why we've only covered a certain fraction, and we've stuck with the bit that everyone else shies away from because they're pussies. They won't talk about it because they're worried they're going to upset someone, or they're worried they're going to trigger someone. And I feel that this stuff needs to be said.
Yeah.
Giving you an insight to his behaviours and how he started killing is something I also want to do. So we are going to do that over on Extended Cut. I found this case, I hate to say it, less disturbing than any other case we've done. As horrific as this was, I think because of the way it is portrayed in all of these documentaries, it's portrayed in a way of, it's John Wayne Gacy, and they use the picture of him with the clown. It's always the clown picture on the front of all of these documentaries. And all they focus on is his life and his contracting company and his relationship with the police and the investigation and the excavation of all of the bodies. That's all. They steer away from everything that makes him as nasty and as sinister as he really is. And it really upsets me that they don't paint him to be a monster. None of these true crime documentaries portray him as the evil, sadistic murderer and rapist of 33 men. And it's
not really. Like, they don't actually really come out and say any of that stuff. Like I said, even the Netflix one, right? I mean, they talk about it, but it's kind of almost like, all right, he did something bad. He went to jail. He's dead. Yeah, that's it.
It really annoys me. So that's why the show's been phrased this way. This episode. Exactly. I know there's lots of holes, and that's what Extended Cut is for. We're back on the 1st of September with Extended Cut, where we'll be taking the middle section of this that we skipped over. We'll be talking more about why he killed and what drove him to continue killing after the first time he'd done it. We'll also be looking at some strange facts, and there are some fucking strange facts around this. There is a laundry list of stuff that I'm going, no, that never happened.
Yes,
really?
I have some weird stuff that I found too that I actually didn't know. So I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's some really weird stuff. And we'll be giving you some more information on where you can go and get documentaries and movies and all that kind of stuff that you can go and dive into the deep world of John Wayne Gacy if that's what you want to do. Thank you very much for listening. And Heather, it's over to you.
All right, guys, as always, thank you so much for checking out our, latest episode on true crime. As Scott mentioned, do not forget to go follow us on Instagram at You Run True Crime. And it's not that hard to fucking find. So find us, follow us, subscribe to us. I know that we are, Scott, we're number 1 still trending true crime podcast.
We are number 1 on Samsung Podcasts, up from number 2.
Okay.
So we're number 1 there. We were the top trending episode across the whole platform yesterday. We are the top recommended. Our last case, Chris Belvoir, was the top recommended true crime individual episode yesterday. So we are, highly recommended on there. So please go and give us a listen.
So, I mean, did you not just hear what Scott said? Obviously we're fucking a big deal. So, but I say that I'm joking, but actually I'm not. But anyways, you guys, thanks again for listening. Stay safe and always stay spooky. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the You Run podcast. Don't forget, you can get involved in the show in so many ways. All you need to do is head over to yourunpodcast.com.
Yeah, you don't want it to sound like you're literally reading from a script.
Shit, sorry, Heather. That's right, this is your show. It's fun. It's different. It's like nothing else out there. This is your true crime.
This motherfucker.